Hey everyone, hello. Happy Monday. It's Cheryl from Tinker's Card Art, and we are going to paint today this afternoon. Sometimes I'm on in the morning, but today it's afternoon. I try to get on here on Mondays for you. And just say hello as you pop in. I'm hoping you can all hear me. It's pretty rainy here. And I just want to make sure you can hear me. So say hello. Hey Nancy, thanks for popping on. Let me know if you can hear me. I have a lot of rain going on and I can hear it on the roof, but hopefully you can hear me well. And I'm going to paint something fun today. Stepsky, hello. I've been finding some cool things at thrift shops lately. I'll show you what I painted the other day if you didn't see it. Hi Kim. Today I'm going to paint on this little clutch. It's a little black clutch I got at the thrift store. And hello Connie, it was $3. And I'm going to paint a little Halloween pumpkin scene, something on it. Oh, you can, and the rain. So sorry about the rain sounds, but as long as you can hear me, and mostly you can see me, so that's probably the best thing. Lots of fun things lately. Did you catch the other day when I took this, it was a silver-plated tea, I didn't have the teapot, but it's the creamer and the sugar bowl, and I primed it with some spray primer, and then I painted a little gesso, and then I painted this fun little Halloween scene. So I've been kind of in a Halloween mood, and especially, hey Tracy, hello, I wanted to show you the little, it's a silver plate creamer and sugar bowl. And I wish I took a picture of it before, but you all know you find these little things at the thrift shop. These were $2. So cool. Hello, Diane. Fun to paint. Just a little silhouette with little, anything you can think of Halloween-y on there. I'm keeping these, I think, for myself because I don't keep a lot of things, but I love this little thing. It's been in my mind for a long time. I loved putting on the Headless Horseman. So we're not going to do anything that complicated today, but I appreciate you guys watching. And so I was saying I got this little $3 thrift store clutch purse. Wouldn't it be cute if you go into a costume party or just any kind of party around Halloween or just to take out with you? I just bought a really cool pair of candy corn earrings today that I will wear next time. I should have had them on today, but it's been kind of a busy morning. So I just sort of jumped on, got some ideas for this clutch purse. Gonna just paint it in my ordinary acrylic paints. It's not a special fabric paint. I think it'll be fine. I paint on fabric. This is sort of fabric. It's not a leather one. Hi George. Hello. I've been thinking about you lately. I hope you're doing well. And we'll have to catch up soon. Hi Lisa. Thank you. So I think what I did a little sketch. I want to do just some pumpkins with some faces carved into them. Maybe some bats and some ghosts. I was trying to think of things that I could paint on a black background. Like a lot of these little silhouettes would not work. I didn't really want... Hi Lisa, thanks for watching. I didn't really want to paint the whole surface. I wanted the black background to stay intact. So I will put some bats, but I'm going to paint them in a purple. And I'm going to put some ghosts because the white will show up. So let's jump in and get started because we have, 45 minutes here for our segments. Speaking of which, I hope you guys have been watching the other crafters. Carol, I'm sorry, it's rain on my roof, so I'm going to try to raise my voice, and visually you'll be able to see what I'm doing, but it all of a sudden started pouring, and I know it's really kind of noisy. So I'm going to go ahead and just start with my little pumpkins. And, yeah, sorry about that. I'm going to put on some of my orange. I just want to get a base coat on there. Now, sometimes when you're painting on a dark background, you might want to paint white first, but I kind of want a dark pumpkin that we're going to carve out the lights. So I'm going to put on some orange, and it is going to be dark. I don't know if you just saw my... Maisie, did you want to say... I don't know if she wanted to say hello. She's not crazy about the rain either. So when you're painting on a dark background and it's difficult to cover, I would usually go ahead and do a white base coat. I know, Carol, I feel like I wish I could. I hate complaining about the rain. We've had rain all summer, but I know there's some of you that are so in need of rain, and here we have too much of it. Isn't that the way? Hopefully you'll get some rain relief soon. So I'm not going to base coat these white. I'm going to leave it, I want it a little on the dark side, but a little tip is sometimes you can add a little white to your paint. So it's going to be a little lighter orange to start. But I don't want to paint it white because I want it to have a little darkness. I want it kind of a Halloween, not a kind of a creepy looking pumpkins maybe, more than whimsical ones, maybe something kind of sort of darker. So I'm just going to paint them with that shade, and when it dries I'm going to get a little more depth into it, and I'm going to get some little ridges so it looks like it's carved. Sounds like it might lighten up. Let's hope. Hi Donna, thank you for popping in. We're going to paint some little pumpkins on a fabric clutch purse. Ordinary acrylics. I'm not putting a fabric medium or using a fabric paint. I'm just using what I have. I figure I get paint on my clothes all the time and I can't ever get that off, so I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I don't even think there's nothing I have to do about treating it afterwards either. I'm using a hog bristle brush. It's a little stiffer brush. It's good for digging into the fabric and into canvas. Yes, Pam, I can, because if you saw the other day, did you see when I painted on acorns? You can paint on pretty much anything. Oh, Kit, thank you. It's feeling more fall than summer up here in Maine right now, actually. But I do love summer, but I do love the change of the seasons too. So I don't mind it changing a little bit. And you can see I'm filling in just my pumpkins with orange. I don't know if you caught the other day, I did a quick little live on painting pumpkins. They were just pumpkins, not the carved pumpkins. We don't give these guys faces, but I did a quick little video the other day on just painting simple techniques to paint pumpkins. I'm going to paint these orange pumpkins in that technique, but then I'm going to put some carving into them. They're going to have a little bit of a carved eyes and nose, you know, like typical jack-o'-lanterns do. I'm just going to get a little more orange. I just have just some of my craft paints, just in my fall colors. I put some oranges, some yellows, burnt sienna, which is a nice red-brown. I'll do some little grasses coming up in their stems in green. I was almost thinking of putting a little yellow moon with the witch flying across, but I don't think there's room on this. But you know what would be nice is you could paint on both sides. Sally, it's the rain. I'm sorry. It's just started really pouring here, and my studio is got a metalish roof, and it just is pretty loud, and I apologize for that. But at least if you can see what I'm doing, it's pretty simple, this sort of thing. And once I get this coat on, I'm going to go ahead, put the grasses on, let this bit dry. I also thought it would be kind of a cute idea if you wanted to on something like this, paint a Halloween, like a jack-o'-lantern or Halloween on this side. But on this side, you could just paint the regular pumpkins and something just fallish, leaves, acorns, that sort of thing, and you could, you know, get double use out of it. I'm looking at things at the thrift store in yard sales in a whole new eye lately. Trying to figure out if it's something that I could repurpose, is it something that I could paint, and it's kind of fun. It's like a treasure hunt, really. So I'm going to just get another little brush out for... Thank you. Thanks. I know. And I know that you can sort of hear me. I had to do one of my classes one night, and it had done the same thing. And everyone kept saying, can you hear? We can hear you. And I'd be up against that screen, like yelling, can you hear me? Like that's going to help. But they could hear me. So hopefully it'll be okay. I like to put some little stems on here. And I'm going to go to a smaller brush. This one seems like it's going to be a little big. I'm doing it a very dark green. If you've watched me paint, I paint very dark and then I work lighter. I like a lot of color and I like a lot of whimsy, but if you start with a duller and a darker background, when you put those lighter, more colorful colors on top, they really pop. If I started really bright, I don't really have very far to go to bring up the intensity of the color. So I do start dark and I sort of just carve out the light colors. So I'm painting this on here. I know you can barely see it, but I want to get a dark layer on first of a dark green. I love to, on my pumpkins, do like little curly cues sometimes for their stems. It doesn't have to just be a little short stem. Sometimes I just kind of curl them around. I did a little light sketch in chalk. That's the lines that you see there. Those lines will erase very easily. Chalk's a great thing to keep handy with your painting or crafting. You want to mark something but not have it permanent. It's a great way to do it. And you can see I'm going to get a little lighter now, add a little more yellow to my green. And I'm just going to lighten up that stem a little bit. And you can sort of start seeing it come to life. All I'm doing is taking the brush with the dirty green on it, dipping it into some yellow. You know when we get off line, it's going to stop immediately. You know that. And I'm just going to dab it on. A lot of times when you're painting fabric, as the paint dries, it sort of sinks in and you kind of have lost the intensity or the color. But that's okay. Let it dry well, and then you're just going to put on another coat and just build it up. Acrylics are like that. Acrylics are a little bit transparent to begin with sometimes, and the best thing to do is just multiple coats, thin coats, letting them dry, not trying to blob on too much, and this is going to be really fun, I think. It's going to be fun. Wouldn't it be fun? You could probably put some gemstones on here, some bling maybe. That would be cool. I'm going to let those stems dry, and I'm going to just get on some grass. I don't want my pumpkins just floating in the air. I want them to be sitting on the ground, so I'm taking just some of that dark green, and I'm going to just put some grass strokes coming up beside them. Again, until we put the really light lime greens and the yellows on, you won't see them too much, but we're going to just make them sitting on a little ground there. I wonder, we could almost maybe put a little reflection under them. Say there's a big full moon up there. So let's get the green a little lighter maybe underneath them. And again, it's a bright yellow. It's going to sink in and dry a little duller. But once it gets a coat of paint on the fabric and it dries, it gives you a little more of a surface to paint on. So that is kind of cool. Oh, and if you have any questions, please throw them out there as we go. If I don't see them while we're painting, I will definitely come back and answer them afterwards. And let me know what you guys are painting. Have you found some really interesting things to paint? I did have my eye on, they had a really cute little kid's rocking chair, which I probably should have grabbed, but I'm going to maybe go over and see if that's still there. I'd like to, that'd be kind of fun to paint. And I'm just going to pull up the comments so I can see them. So you can see we're starting to build up a little green underneath. And I think I'll go ahead now while that's drying and put some little ghosts up there and some bats maybe. And bats I like to do in purple a lot of times, and this would be good because of the black. We could put a nice some little purple bats. They're pretty basic. They're just going to be little shapes like this. I make a little body with two little ears and then throw some wings on. Pretty simple. We're not going to get too complicated. And purple. I'm going to outline it, fill it in, and when it dries, then I can put my little details on. So I'm going to try to paint a little bit like this so you can see it. I know it's upside down, but the little body of the bat, some wings, and I love that it's dull. I know it's hard to see, but I know when it's that dull and I start putting a little white in my purple and getting little accents on there, then that really it just gives it a nice touch. I'm painting a lot of Halloween lately. I love Halloween. I didn't want to jump in too soon though. It seemed like Halloween candy's been in the stores for a month now. And so we're just going to start with little bats like that. Hi Gail! You know what I think I will do? I don't have them handy here, but afterwards I do have some colored glitter paints and some metallics and shimmery ones, so I think I'm going to paint these and then add some touches later of some of that glitter, because I think a little bling on your purse is not a bad thing. And I'm just going to paint a few more bats and then I'll put a few ghosts. And what a great little evening bag for the Halloween ball, right? If you're going to go out to some sort of parties. So fun. I love Halloween parties. I love costume parties. I love making costumes. And maybe 3. Sometimes it's nice to have 3 elements on something. Kind of like painting those little birds that you sometimes do, just the little V's and a little head. Yes, Gail, I did get it done, and you know what? It's in the house, but I will show it to you. I did put a picture, I believe, but I'll show it to you guys. I'll post it on our site. I like to finish when I'm out plein air painting. I like to finish because when I come home, I don't want to really look at it anymore. I want to just be done. So I kind of stayed out. And what's good about that is it sort of forces you to speed up and not fuss with your paintings too much. You just kind of do it and be done. And it's a good lesson sometimes. Plein air painting is not expected to be perfect. It's supposed to show you the painting on location, in the moment sort of thing. So I did finish. And we need some ghosts in this. You guys have probably all seen the ghosting paintings. Hi, Catherine. You're not late. You're never late. And you know it's always recorded. People are buying the old vintage prints and paintings and things and painting ghosts in them, which is so fun. I did that years ago I did it for someone in my family that was a big Star Wars fan. I had one of those really bucolic, beautiful, beautiful landscape scenes, and I painted little tiny, like, stormtroopers and Darth Vader and whatnot marching through the fields. But I see everybody doing them now with the ghosts. So fun. I would like to find the right paintings and do that. It might be kind of fun. So I'm going to paint some little ghosts flying through. So they're pretty easy. They're just going to have little eyes after. And you can do them. I like sometimes I put them with little arms coming out. With a little drapey sheet kind of a fabric kind of looking ghost. And this little guy. And this is actually nice that the black's showing through a little because it's sort of just giving me some built-in shading. One more. I'm going to do one over here. I kind of like to do the threes. So we'll do the third one here. And like I said, if you had room where you were doing more of a purse that was a purse shape, not just a clutch, a moon with the witch flying on it, like I did on my little teapot. I keep calling it a teapot. It's actually a sugar bowl and creamer. Those were really fun. I'm going to look for a teapot. That would be fun to paint too. So now we can see it's sort of drying. I'm going to do a little bit more brighter green because my grass seems to be drying pretty well. Probably get a liner brush and bring up these grasses a little more on top of the pumpkins a bit as we go. It's so funny, someone saw my post about coming on today, Michelle, I think, said, "Oh, can't wait to see what you're painting." I said, "I can't wait either because I never decide till, honestly, it was quarter of." I have a box of projects here, things I pick up and things I want to paint, but I had no idea what I was going to really do, and I sort of wait till the last minute, so I'm like at exactly 3 o'clock, I'm deciding what I want to paint. But you guys are so good for putting up with me in my last minuteness. I like the texture I have a little bit of the fabric. It's kind of like canvas, and if I rub my sort of a dry brush over it, I get a little bit of a texture going on, which is really cool. So there, I'm going to go on my stems a little more, and I may have to hit this with the dryer. Not that it matters today for the extra noise, right, because we have all this going on. But let's go ahead and do another coat. Actually, our bats are dry, so let's do a little bit more purple on our bats. I'm only going to highlight these a little bit and just give them 2 little dots for eyes. We're not getting too complicated. We're not getting fancy. We're just going to make cute bats. If they weren't so teeny, wouldn't it be cool if I could find 2 little jewels for the eyes? Thank you, Pam. Hi, Cecile. Thanks for watching. Nice to see you popping in again today. This is my segment on Craft Around the Clock today, as well as you see me on my Tinker's Cart art page. And Craft Around the Clock is a fabulous place to see creatives Monday through Friday every 45 minutes. So please, after my segment, stick around, see what I usually have the schedule and let you know who's coming up, but I was very last minute. I actually, believe it or not, was making a trip to Michael's this morning. Off I go, my husband and I, and we went first, because I had to check out TJ Maxx, of course, and then we went into Target because I was looking for something, and then we went into Market Basket for groceries, and off we come home, and I never even went to Michael's. So I'll have to go back again. but I was running late, of course, so I did not, lost my train of thought there with all this rain, but anyways, I was running a little late, and here we are with our little clutch purse project, which is great because I was dying to paint it. I think I'm going to do a little moon maybe in the background, maybe not with a witch though, but it just needs maybe a little yellow in there. See how the second coat is starting to really show up a little more? If you want it to be really creepy, wouldn't this be fun? Spider web. You could even use your paint markers for that. I may even try that. I've got my Posca markers here, and if you did a big elaborate spider web with your paint markers, it would be easier to do on the fabric. Put a little spider web with a spider hanging. Hola Manny, thanks for watching. And maybe a big purple spider. That would be fun. I love these double-sided things that you can paint two different things on. Guess I'm going to have to get myself to a Halloween party if I'm going to have this cool purse. Coming along, right? I didn't even think to look at the time. We're at 3:15. We have till 4 o'clock. We have loads of time. But let me hit the pumpkins with the hairdryer really quick so I can just dry that up. And that way we can put our second coat on, which is kind of nice. Might drown out the rain and the roof sounds. Really is quick, so that dried up pretty quick. And I'm going to get in the ridges of the pumpkin. We want to be darker. So that's kind of like why I like to start really dark. I'm going to get these dark ridges in, and then put the light bits in between. And then we will put faces on them. We're going to put little carved faces. I might not make them as deep of a recess like on those because it's going to be carved, but we need to get some dark bits in there. So I'm going to take just a dark brown. I've got burnt sienna, which is like a red brown. Add a little black, gives me a dark brown. I like to mix a lot of my colors up from my primaries here so that you don't need to go out and buy all the colors to paint. You can get started with a few. But let's just divide up our little pumpkins. And I know this isn't, well, you can see it, I guess. It's flat enough. I want to try to hold it up, but sometimes that's a little difficult. So this is just going to get me started to where I need to shade and highlight. Shading and highlighting is what gives our little objects form. So even if it's a little purse, a funny, cute little whimsical pumpkin, we still want to give it form and make it look three-dimensional. And that's what darks and lights will do for us. And this little guide is going to help me to know where to go with my lights now in between these little recesses. And I'm mixing it on the fly because sometimes it doesn't seem dark enough. I just add more black to my brown. And that just gives us a guide. And now we'll just go inside. Hey Becky, thank you for watching too. Thanks for popping in. The noise you hear is the rain on my roof. And I want to get brighter, so I'm going to mix more yellow in with my orange to get a little bit brighter shade. Let me clean that brush. It's got a little green in it still. So we'll clean that off. And when I do rinse my brushes off, I really make sure they're really dried on a paper towel so I don't go in and have a lot of water in my paint. Lots of times I will just go into the next color by wiping my brush off if it's into a darker color. Hey Cam, thank you for popping in. It's nice to see such a crowd on a Monday afternoon. Thank you guys. I'm going to get a little brighter in the center of these little bits. I can always go back and deepen them a little bit if I need to. Sort of painting in between. This is some of this is a little wet still on the lines. I'm just going to go in between them for now. I want a little too light with this yellow, but I wanted to get a little brighter base. And now we'll go back in with some of our orange. I'll use white last to really make it pop. Right now we're just using some yellows. Can't wait to add the little light colors on these things too to make those pop. They're coming along. My little pumpkins are coming along. I might even put a little red orange in there. Let's try that. But I'm using a color that's kind of an accent color maybe. Spread it around. I like this little red orange. I'll put some coming up on the bottom, maybe just dab a little bit here and there. And there, let that dry a little minute. Hey Valerie, thank you guys. So, who here loves to paint as well? Or are you just beginning and you want to get started? This is a great place to be because I show you really simple projects in step-by-step method. I wonder if I open up. This is like this little clutch purse, which kind of is like on this little hinge, which is kind of cool, but it might even be easier opening it up. I've got a little bit of a, I must have touched it with my painty fingers, but if I see I have a little mistake or paint gets where it shouldn't be, I just, with a wet paintbrush or a wet paper towel, wipe it off. If it's stubborn and it has dried, you can use a little rubbing alcohol. That usually takes off, paint where it shouldn't be. And let's, another layer on our bats, just one more layer to brighten those up, and then we'll highlight them. For their little eyes, we can just use a toothpick or a stylus or a back end of a brush. I have some little styluses here, which are perfect for little dots, but like a toothpick works perfectly fine too. So I've got my little bats. They're going to dull a little bit, but I want them to still be a little bright, but I'm going to take, I've got my paintbrush with purple on it. I'm going to go right into white. And then because this paint is wet, I can just go with my white. I'm going to have to do it this way, so I'm going to just give them a little highlight on, let's say, the tops of their wings, and their little bodies. Just enough to brighten them up a little bit. I'm just using white though because it's going to mix fine with the purple that's on there. So you'll see it's just be like a light purple. But I really think later, I don't have them handy, but I'm going to get some of that glittery paint and put some glitter on there after. Or I could use, I have this Twinkles, which, this is really fun paint, Deco Art Twinkles. It's kind of a clear binder with glitter in it. And it picks up the color underneath. So maybe instead of getting all the colored glitters out, I will just go over it with that. But look at how they really show up now because they have a little bit of a highlight on them. And then they'll have those little eyes. So let's do our ghosts. That way I can work down and not put my hand in the painting there. I'm gonna wait for time. Oh, we have 15 minutes. And I want to get some little faces on them as well. So why don't I, one more coat of white on these ghosts, and you can see how I'm just going to kind of let the paint flow down, kind of feathering it a little, so at the bottom of the ghost, it's a little bit more transparent, like a ghost would be. I don't want to paint these guys on solid. I want them to be a little bit gauzy looking, I guess. But I don't want them to be really dull either, so I think that will work, and then they'll just get little eyes. And I'm going to actually, I'm not sure if I'll do just little black dots or maybe yellow. We'll see black on the ghosts, I think, and little yellow eyes on the bats. So now let's get, I want it to look like the pumpkin has a light inside a candle, say. So I don't want to do dark cutouts for their features. I want them to be yellow. So I'm going to paint it white first because I really want that bit to really show. So I'm just going to, like a jack-o'-lantern, just give them these little triangle eyes. They don't have to all be triangles. I might vary it a little bit. And let's see, little triangle. No, we'll do a traditional one here, just the triangles. And they have those little kind of zigzaggy mouths, right? So we'll kind of just do that. I'm painting a little wet and wet here. I will probably take the hairdryer to it again to dry it up. So there's one. I've got some reference pictures of just jack-o'-lanterns here because sometimes I like to do different shaped eyes. So there's one, sometimes you see them with this sort of a shape. That sort of shape for the eyes. This is pretty cool. I never know how it's going to come out, and I always think someday there's going to be a flop. But you know what? I think I'm going to really like this little piece. my little $3 purse. What shape nose? I think still triangle for this. Sometimes I give them a little O for a mouth, like a little oval, like they're singing or yelling or screaming. Same with the ghosts. But let me see if I could find... Yeah, I'm going to do that on this one. So it's got kind of a circle for a mouth. I've also painted the pumpkins like the old... Remember the old vintage Halloween decorations you saw with the crazy eyes and it just looked really vintagey? I painted some little ornaments like that. That's sort of fun too. Painting, looking at vintage pumpkin ornaments and seeing those cool faces that they have. Okay, let's see. I want something else. Oh, you know what? Sometimes we do them with little teeth even. So let's do another one with the triangle. And I varied the sizes. One's rounder, one's more oval. Sometimes I go real tall with them. But we're going to do little triangles again here. Because they're all triangle noses, let's make this a little different. We could just do a little circle for a nose. And the mouth, we're going to do... like, you know how you can carve little teeth? And we'll do that for this one. And I'm going to dry this up so I can get those little white areas, another coat of white. Because I really want that yellow to be the brightest thing on here. Well, let it dry a minute, and let's do the stems. They're sunk in now. You can't really see the green. I'm going to go with a little bit of yellow again. The pumpkin stems kind of are rigid, you know, on the real pumpkin, so I just take a light color and I gotta do this painting it towards me, which works for you guys. So I'll just bring up kind of lines so it almost looks a little like the ridges on those. I can picture the ridges on those pumpkins, and they're kind of spiky sometimes and whatnot. And you can paint them brown, you can paint them green, they come in those colors. I like the green highlighted with some yellow. If this was out, you know, there's a full moon up here, the yellow would give you a little bit of a reflection on them, on the little... I'll put more highlights of yellow on the pumpkins too. Underneath them a little bit yellow. I'm kind of thinking there's a full moon up there and it's just throwing off some of the yellow highlights. Okay, so there's their little self there. Let's do the little features on the ghosts. You could do, like I said, with the little stylus or a toothpick. I'm going to just give them little eyes. And they can have little mouths too. And my little, I'm going to use the brush because the eyes on my little bats are going to be tiny. I'm going to paint them white so that I can go on after when that's dry and give a nice bright little yellow eye. So little eyes on our bats. They're teeny, but they're there. Since I have this upside down, I think I'll put some grass on there. Let me get that same light yellow I was using and say we want to get just some grasses. If the yellow doesn't show, I pop, and it's kind of a yellow-green, it's like a lime green kind of. I'm going to add a little white, and watch what happens when you have a little white in there. Really shows up nicely. So I'm going to do some just lime green. These little bits of grass could be right up over the pumpkin. I build up the layers, so I did a dark. I got a little lighter. Now I'm going very light. And you can see it's nice because you have all those layers. Instead of coming right onto the black and doing the light green and then you have nothing else to do. You want it to have some dimension, some depth. And I'm going to do kind of like these little reflections underneath them. So let's just do that, just to make it some interest. It's almost, because I did the light green a little bit away from the pumpkin, it's almost casting a little shadow, because the pumpkin would cast a little shadow. Hey, Linda, I'm so glad you could pop on. How are you today? I should ask what you're painting, because I'm sure you got some cool paintings going on as well. Let me hit this with the hairdryer super quick, and then I can get those eyes on there. brightness on my pumpkin still, just in places. Like I said, if the full moon is there and it's got a little bit of shining down there, I'll go with that light yellow. Maybe like an orangey yellow. Let's just see. And I'm just going to hit it a little bit here and there. Some orange. Sometimes it gets hit right on the very top, so let me get a little bit of a lighter orange. Some of my orange with a little white, maybe. Yellow and a little white. So say that the very tippy tops are getting a little bit of highlights. Yeah, that looks good. I like that on the black. Black or navy or something dark is always a fun surface to paint on, because some of your colors you can really bring alive by adding layers. Remember when you're painting to step away and step back too on for your painting so that you can really see truly what is going on. When you're this close, you can't really judge, and we all sit and say, oh, that doesn't really look right. That's because you're an inch away from your painting. Sally, oh, I do love to paint pumpkins. You saw the ones the other day, and it's fun to paint all the colors, the tealy ones. Another painting that I'm going to touch up, I was showing the other day. I want to add some bright tints to it. What do you think? Is that enough? I think that's enough of the highlights and whatnot, right? And I think we can see the little highlights on the bats enough. You can always go a little bit lighter with a few strands of grass, but I think for the most part we're good. Okay, let's get those eyes filled in. We're gonna put them yellow so that looks like there's a little candle. Oh, thank you, Linda. It's good. Isn't it good to get someone else's opinion? I love that I have painty friends and they can give me pointers and tell me what they think. While I'm at it, I'm going to just one quick highlight on my ghosts on the corner, maybe. Back there. Okay, yellow for the eyes. Let's do that. And then I'm kind of shade around one side so it looks like it's carved, not just a big old triangle there. And I'm going to get some yellow here. I would probably, if we weren't on a time crunch, and we're not really, we have plenty of time, but I don't really want to make you sit and watch paint dry. I would maybe put another coat of white before the yellow, but I think it's showing up pretty well, actually. It's just that yellow and orange sometimes are translucent, more so in the acrylic craft paints. So you just need to add a few coats, underpaint with white, or simply add white to the color as well. It lightens it up a little bit, but it does make it much more opaque. You add a little white into a color that's a little translucent that you're trying to get better coverage with. And just take a look. You can look for inspiration online. Different pumpkin faces. There's so many you can do. And I've got a little tiny bit of paint that kind of went where it shouldn't. So I just took a paintbrush and added a little water, and I can kind of just scooch it out of there. Acrylics are fabulous because you can correct any mistakes at all that you might have. Hi Cindy, thank you for popping on. And now because it's so bright, it really does look like it's kind of glowing, doesn't it? It looks like they're really in a little light inside them. But they look a little flat. Oh, you're from Oregon. Thank you for watching. I'm over in Maine. We're on the opposite ends of the United States. I'm going to put a little bit on the edges of some of those cutout features so it looks like it has some depth. So let's see. I might do that. I'm going to grab some of my burnt sienna maybe. It's like the red-brown. Let's try that. Sometimes I don't know what's going to work. Sometimes I have to put it in and then see. And if not, I can paint over it with a different color. let's see if we kind of shade on like one side maybe. Let's see. Let me try one, and we're going to hold it up and see if that works. It's going onto the right side and doing a little bit of a shadow. It's a little something. Do you think? Can you see it on this little guy here? How I put that little bit of burnt sienna, it's sort of mixed in with. It is sandy, it's rain. It's mixed with the yellow. I don't know if that's a problem because I can make it deeper after. But I think the shadow would be a little darker shade like the burnt sienna rather than something light. I'm looking some other inspiration here, but let me just try this. Let me just try that as the little cut edge, say. I guess it could almost be a lighter color. The flesh of the pumpkin would be lighter, maybe. I don't know if I'm even just overthinking it, maybe. I really like the way, with the white underpainting of those sections, those little cutouts, how it really jumps away from the dull orange painting of the pumpkins themselves. I kind of like that look. Hi, Judith. Pretty bright. I think the little cutout things work. I think that will work. I don't know if I would do much more. You guys have any suggestions? I'm going to maybe put a little glitter on my ghosts, but I kind of like the way it looks. And then we can get some ideas for something to paint on the back maybe. So some suggestions of what you would paint on the back. I like the spider idea. Or if you wanted to do more fall, just with leaves and that sort of thing. You see a little bit of my chalk lines there. They just, just a damp paper paintbrush. You can just kind of scooch those off. But I do like sketching with chalk because, especially on a dark background. So what do you guys think? I think it's awful fun. Let me get some of that glitter paint and see. This little twinkles might be fun on the ghosts. You could almost put it on anything on there if you wanted, but let's just try the ghosts for fun. Let's see if that just adds a little sparkle. It's kind of cool. It's a nice little touch, actually. We are almost upon 4 o'clock, and I really appreciate you guys bearing with me with the sound of the rain and coming out on a Monday afternoon to paint. You can find me painting on all the socials. If you want to learn to paint, I can certainly help you there. I have an art membership. I do classes. I love to take absolute beginners and get them started. And we paint all kinds of things in the art membership. All kinds of things. Landscapes, animals. We did a pony today. We did pumpkins last time. We're going to do some watercolor house portraits coming up at the end of the month. 1 minute left, but look at like the little glitter on the ghosts. Thank you, Nancy. These are just they're prescription readers, but they're from Zenny. Everyone asks me, but Zenny Optical Online, I love their glasses. They're very affordable, so it's kind of fun. Anyways, hang out for the next crafter. If you do not see someone come right up, I usually have to refresh my page. I wait a minute or so, and then I refresh the page, and then we have a whole new crafter. And then the lineup for the rest of the day, you'll have all kinds of creative things. If it's raining where you are, it's a good day to be in crafting. So this went by in a flash, you guys. And I will see you next Monday. Thanks for painting with me. Have a great day. Bye, guys.